Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video I will be showing you how to make this little horse in the number 4 yarn. And as a bonus, you can follow along the same pattern using a number 6 yarn and make it in the plush as well. The smaller horse is about 6 inches tall, and the larger horse done in the plush yarn is about 10 inches tall, and I used about just over 4.5 ounces for the brown, and then you'll need quite a bit in the black as well if you do the mane. I'm going to be doing the video in black and gray, so you can turn him into a donkey as well. And then I will have the different styles. So I'll have this style of a mane where it's kind of curly. I'll also have like a spiky mane for the donkey, and I'm not 100% sure I like this mane, so I may also have like a twisty version going down. But that will all be closer to the end of the video. And I'm also going to put a little screenshot closer to the end of the video of the pattern for a horn if you want to attach that and turn one of these into a unicorn. So I consider this a no-sew pattern, being that the head and the body and the legs are all one piece. And then you will have to attach the muzzles or noses, and then the ears and the mane and the tail. This is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you. If I do something you don't understand, there will be a 30-second drop-down menu at the top of the screen at the beginning of every row. And if you enjoy my videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and you will be notified every time I load a new video. And if you want to make any of the other animals that you see, I will have a link down in the description. Just click see more, and it will take you to the links for the cow, the pig, the goat, and the chicken, as well as anything in the background. If you see something, I have a tutorial for everything here on my channel. Okay, I think that's everything. So grab your yarn and let's get started. So because I'm doing black and gray, I am going to show you the bottom of the hoof in a lighter color. You pick whatever color you've chosen to do your hoof part in. And you're going to begin, fold your yarn over. Make a knot with a loop on the end as if you were going to chain, and you can use the magic circle or chain 2, however you're comfortable starting. You don't need to use the magic ring on the feet if you don't want to, because it'll be on the bottom. You're going to insert your hook, grab your yarn, chain 1. And that is just to attach your yarn. It does not count as a stitch. Now, however you started, we are going to do row 1, 6 single crochets into this loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, you're going to do 6 increases. So that's 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around for a total of 12. I'm going to try and go slow because if you're using the plush yarn, this second row is sometimes a bit of a pain. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, and our last increase 11 and 12. For row 3, we're going to go in the back loop so we can have a flat bottom. I'm going to let you decide if you need to. This is in the back loop, and how I stuffed my leg, it should be like this, but it's got a curve to it, and you cannot tell I went in the back loop. And then for the little horse, you can kind of make them flat, but it's still kind of curved, so I just left it. So if you don't want to go in the back loop, it's not going to make a huge difference, but I'm going to go in the back loop just so you know how, if you haven't done it before. So this is where you would usually put your needle, down underneath those 2 loops, or the V. When you're doing the back loop, you're going to go down in between those V's and out through the back of the stitch. Okay, so for round 3, you're going to go in the back loop all the way around for 12 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And don't finish off that 12th stitch because this is where we're going to change colors to the main color. So I'll be turning gray. Whoops. All right. So grab your main color, and you're just going to tie those together a couple of times. then pull your new color through that last 12th stitch of the previous row. Now for rows 4 to 6, you're going to do 12 single crochets all the way around, and that's 3 rows, and I'm just going to count consecutively. 12 times 3 is 36, so I am going to count to 36, flip my marker every time I hit a set of 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that's one of 3 rows. Flip your marker if you're using one. And I'm going to keep on counting. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that's 2 rows of 3, and our last row, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. And then you're just gonna slip stitch into the next stitch and tie that off. And you don't need a very long tail because this is just gonna tuck inside the leg. Just like that. So you're going to need 4 of these. So I will put a screenshot if you need it with a timestamp to take you back to the beginning to start your next foot. And if you've already got all 4 of your little legs, then we will just keep on watching and we'll start the next part. Okay, now we are going to start on the head, but because some of you might be using plush yarn, I'm just going to quickly show you how I do the magic ring, and I am absolutely no expert in it. This is just how I used to do it years ago. So I don't even know if I'm doing it the right way. It's just kind of simplified version that kind of gets it done. So you're going to start by pinching the yarn between your ring finger and your thumb. And then I like to wrap it around 3 fingers, making an X. And then I take this piece of yarn and I just hold it tight with my pinky finger. Flip your hand over go under the front yarn and grab the back yarn, and then you're just going to make a chain 1, and then kind of however you can flip it around. So this is basically how I would usually start, only instead of having my knot with the loop, I've got my loop here, and this would be where my chain 1 is, so that I'm attaching the yarn. And then now you would start any pattern as row 1 from this point. So if row 1 is 6 single crochets, you just go in the loop and start crocheting around this loop. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you just pull this tail and your ring will close. And then you just start your row 2 in the pattern. So your first stitch will be back here. And you can count your V's if you're not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So right there would be your first stitch. And you can always mark that when you get going. Okay, so now I'm going to start my regular way. So grab your yarn, and if you're starting the way I start, you're going to make your knot with the loop in the end. Grab your yarn, pull through, chain 1, remembering that that is not a stitch, but just to attach your yarn. And for row 1, we're going to do 6 single crochets. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, you're going to do 6 increases all the way around. So 2 stitches in every stitch for a total of 12. So increase, 1 and 2 in the same stitch, increase, 3 and 4, increase, 5 and 6, increase, 7 and 8, increase, 9 and 10, increase, 11 and 12. Row 3, you're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, and repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, increase, 2 and 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, and increase, 18, 17 and 18. Row 4, you're going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase, and repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24. Row 5, you're going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase for a total of 30. So 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, and your last increase, 29 and 30. All right, for rows 6 to 9, you're just going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. So that's 4 rows of 30, and I'm going to do it in 2 sets. So I'm going to do 60 and 60 twice, which will be my 4 rows, and then I'm going to flip my marker every time I hit 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So that's one row of 4. And I'm going to keep on counting. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. So that's 2 rows of 4, and I'm going to start back at 1 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. That'll be my marker. So that's 3 rows of 30, and now our last row, and I'm going to keep on counting. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60. So that was our 4 rows of 30. All right, row 10, we're going to do 3 single crochets and 1 decrease for a total of 24. So 1, 2, 3, and a decrease, for 4, 5, 6, 7, and a decrease, for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease, for 12, 13, 14, 15, and a decrease, for 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease, for 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease, for 24. Row 11, we're going to do 2 single crochets and 1 decrease. Repeat that around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, decrease, 3, 4, 5, decrease, 6, 7, 8, decrease, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease, for 12, 13, 14, decrease, for 15, 16, 17, decrease, for 18. Row 12, we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease for a total of 12. So 1, decrease, for 2, 3, decrease, for 4, 5, decrease, for 6, 7, decrease, for 8, 9, decrease, for 10, 11, and decrease, for 12. Okay, now we're going to start the body. And I haven't done this pattern for about a week because I've been working on other things. So hopefully this goes smoothly. So we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we're going to start our first row. So we're ignoring these as rows now, and we're starting up in here. Our first row of the back, we are going to be going in the second chain from the hook, so this does not count. And then this little V is our first stitch, and then this V is our second stitch. So we'll be going in there. And I need a marker all the time because we are going to be going down this side. We're going to go around the head, and then we're going to come back up this side. And I always need a marker to know when I'm in the right stitch on the last of the stitches. Okay, so this will be row 13, and we're going to start in the second chain from the hook. And we're going to put 6 single crochets down this chain. So 1, 2, 3, make sure your chain's not twisting, 4, 5, and get in that last one right there, 6. I'm sorry if my chain here is kind of in the way. Now our next stitch should be right here, and we're going to be putting 12 single crochets around, but because we have a decrease here and then chain up, there's going to be a hole if we start in that first stitch. So we are going to come back 1 stitch where we made that decrease, and we're going to do a decrease here as our first single crochet around the head. So just decrease, and then we need 11 more single crochets for our 12 single crochets around. So we're going to count that as 1. Our next one is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And now we need to do 6 single crochets up the back side of this chain. And if you can find your little V's of your stitches on the other side, that will help you know where to start. So here's my little V there. So now I'm going to do 6 single crochets up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Most importantly, you want to have 24 stitches all the way around, so when we start doing our next rows we have the right stitch count. So if you happen to be out and you have to add a stitch or do a decrease, do that. Just make sure you have 24 stitches to go into for the next row. So now we're going to start way over here, right where my stitch marker is. And for row 14, we're going to do 3 single crochets, and then 1 increase, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to increase 4 and 5. 6, 7, make sure you go in the right stitch here, right behind where you decreased, so that's 8, and then increase 9 and 10. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit now. 11, 12, 13, increase 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, and an increase 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, and an increase 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, and an increase 29 and 30, and that'll bring you right up to your stitch marker for the next row. Row 15, you are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 increase for a total of 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and increase 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and an increase 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and your increase 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and your increase 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and your last increase 35 and 36. All right, for rows 16 to 19, you're just going to do 36 single crochets all the way around, and that's 4 rows. And I'm going to do that again, 2 rows at a time. So I'm going to do 2 rows for a total of 72, and then I'm going to do the other 2 rows, 72 again, and that'll make our 4 rows of 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. So that's one of our 4 rows. I'm going to keep on counting. 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, whoops, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, and 72. So that is 2 rows of 4. Now I'm going to start at 1 again for the other 2 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So that's 3 rows of our 4 rows. And our last row, I'm going to keep on counting. 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, and 72. And that should complete our 4 rows of 36. Now you're going to want to grab your legs, and we are going to start putting them on. And what we are going to do is we are going to have our legs with the knot facing us. Every leg we want to put on like this. So the knot is facing us, and then you're going through this half of the leg and this part of the body. So you're not going through anything on this side on this row. And then we're going to put 3 single crochets in between each leg. To begin, because our stitches aren't quite in the center, we're going to start with 2 single crochets, and then we're going to add our leg, and when we get around, that 3rd single crochet will be on this side of the body. All right, so 2 single crochets, 1, 2, grab your leg, knot facing you, fold it, and somewhere right over here on the right hand side, you're going to put your hook in, and then you're going to put your hook in the next stitch on the body. And it's very tricky sometimes for the next stitch, the way you stretch your stitches. Sometimes it'll look like this is your next stitch, so make sure you're going over 1 stitch. And we're going to put 6 single crochets across through the body and the leg. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And if for some reason you didn't put the knot facing you, double check now, because when they flip over, you want them to look like this and not have that knot over on the outside. You want it on, it'll be on the inside. Now we're going to do 3 single crochets, making sure you get over here in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now grab your other leg, making sure the knot is facing you, just like you did the first one. Hook in on the right hand side of just this side, and then you're going to do your 6 single crochets through the leg and the body. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then do your 3 single crochets. 1, 2 and 3. Now grab your next leg, knot towards you, and hook in on the right hand side, and then do your 6 single crochets through the body and the leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And again, do your 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and grab your last leg and attach it exactly the same way, knot towards you in that right hand side, and your 6 single crochets through the body and the leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you should have 1 single crochet left. Okay, before we get too much further, let's add some stuffing so we can add the eyes. And right now we're just going to stuff the head, so we can kind of check our placement and see if we're happy with it. So what you want to do is you want to kind of find the center between the legs. So I'm going to go about right there. And then we want to count down between rows 5 and 6. So starting at, that doesn't look center when I tip it that way. Anyway, so this is your row 1 where you put all your stitches in the loop. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you want to put it right here between rows 5 and 6. And I like to put mine in a bar of a stitch and not a hole. And then I count over for my holes in my eyes. So just kind of check that you're still happy with that as the center. Okay, before we actually put the eyes in, I'm going to just show you a couple examples so you can kind of decide what you want to do. So for this horse, I went 4 holes over and I accidentally used one size up bigger eyes. So these eyes are 12 millimeters and I was supposed to use 10. So if you like this bigger way, you'll go over 4 holes from center on each side. And then for the pig, I used the eyes I'd planned on using, 10 millimeter eyes, and from the center I went over 1, 2, 3 holes. For the goat, I went over 3 holes with the right eyes. And then for the cow, I went over 4 holes, but I used thread in between to kind of pull them together. So if you do go 4, and you find that it's a little too wide for you once you get the mouth on, you can always take thread between the bottom stitches of the eyes and you can pull them in like this. For the big horse, I only went 3 from center and I feel like they're a little close. So I wished I'd gone 4 over and then I could have kind of pulled him in because he does look like he's a little cross-eyed and I keep pulling his eyes apart a bit. So I hope that helps with your placement. I'm going to be doing 3 holes across on this one with 10 millimeter eyes. So here's my pin that I have in that stitch right in the center. So I'm going to start beside it as a hole. So 1, 2, 3. Oops, I forgot my thing. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put my eye right there. And I'm going to do that to the other side. 1, 2, 3. And have a look and make sure you're happy with where they fall as far as being centered. Make sure you're in that same line going across. And don't worry that they look really high. We are going to be putting that big nose down here and then they will look like they fit. Okay, so if you're happy with where your eyes are, we're going to take that little bit of stuffing out and we'll put the backs on our eyes. So find your post. If you're using safety eyes, I guess if you're not using safety eyes, you'll probably be sewing little or embroidering little things on later. And that's what I would do. So if it's already done, you can see exactly how you want your eyes. Sometimes I forget that not everybody has safety eyes yet. Once I started buying them, I never want to make anything without safety eyes anymore. Okay, once they're in, whoops, you can restuff your head how you want it, and I would go with a little bit on the firm side, but watch, of course, like I always say, down here where your decreases are, especially if you're like me and your decreases are kind of a little messy. You don't want to open up them stitches by stuffing too much into that spot. Oops. All right, so I think I got enough. I'm going to actually take that out so it's not in my way. And we're going to close this up, and then we'll add a little bit more stuffing before we do our final stitches. Okay, so this will be row 21, and we're going to attach the other side of the legs. And this row is not going to make sense mathematically. Our last row was 36 stitches, and now we're going to decrease every stitch all the way around, so it should be 18. But because we are going to do some extra decreases where the body and the leg meet, we're going to end up somewhere between 22 and 26 stitches instead of 18. So don't worry about your stitch count. And don't worry if your stitch count is different than mine. As long as when you decrease, you're going in here and in here, so you don't have a big hole here. You'll have to come back and sew. All right, so just decrease all the way around. So 1. And then I'm going to go here and here. 2, 3, and when you get to your knot, sometimes when you do a slip stitch, it looks like there's a stitch right here, but you don't want to go into there. You want to find your V of the stitch, and then you want to go around that V. So you want to go from here to here. Otherwise you're adding a stitch where that slip stitch was. So what were we at? We're at 3. So you're going to go on this side of the V for your first part of your decrease. And then you're going to go on the other side of that stitch for your second part, making sure that knot is in the back, and that is 4. Now just keep going around. 5. I hope that was in the camera. I just realized I didn't tip it back down. 6, and just decide where you want to stitch so there's no hole there. I hope this is 7. I gotta not talk in between. 8, 9, 10. Here's your knot, so remember that's not a place for your hook right in there. Go around that knot. I've definitely lost count now. So I think that was 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. Remember how you go around the knot, one side of that stitch to the other. 16. 17. Let's see, I'm already on 18 and I'm only about 3/4 of the way around, so that was 18. 19, 20, 21. And go around your knot. Oops, I don't put that in there. 22, I hope. 23. 24. Right there, I think. So I think I have 24. So if you have a different number, don't worry. It's not going to change anything. And for row 22, we're going to do the same thing. Decrease all the way around, and your stitch count will be half of whatever it was in the last row. So if mine was 24, I should have 12 decreases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And just hold that for a second because we need to put the stuffing in. So you're going to want to stuff the legs first. I think I'm going to get rid of my stitch marker. What I do is I like to get 4 little batches that are about the same size. One seems a little big, but... And then you're just going to stuff it down into the foot, and this is going to determine whether you have a flatter foot or a rounder foot. If you want it flat, just kind of hold your thumb there as you're stuffing. I found trying this was kind of pointless in the end, and it just wanted to bunch up anyway. But maybe you are a little better at that than I am, and you can get, see, that's not too bad, but I find that they squish around anyway. All right, your next one. And again, make sure you're not overstuffing them, but you want them to have enough stuffing that they're going to stand up. Okay, and then you're going to stuff up in his body a little bit. And I like to put a little to one side and then a little to the other side. So I'm going to do the back first. And then put a little bit up into the front. Whoops. I don't need too much. I put enough already on the one side. And when you are stuffing this, watch this back seam, especially if you're using a really dark color, because this will want to open up a bit. And I think that is good enough. Oh, I should have tied this off before we did that, because now I got to tie it off stuffed. And I know it is a big hole there, but we're going to kind of, you can do another row here if you want to try it. I found in order to get the legs to come in, that's where I needed to stop. When you do the big one, it looks nice that way. When you do the little one, it does kind of look a mess, but nobody is going to see that part down there. Or that's what I tell myself anyway. All right, so tie this off. So we should have slip stitched into the next stitch and then tied it off. And if you do another row, let me know. Oops. How it turns out. I just worry that another row is going to make the legs be like out more. And that could depend on how much you stuff it as well, I suppose. So now you're just going to weave in and out. I'm going to go this way first. And watch that you don't get a piece of your string wrapped around a leg and don't realize it. Because I had a disaster with one. I think it was the goat maybe. And I had it all closed. I think I even had like the muzzle and stuff on, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. And it turned out I'd wrapped the yarn around a leg when I was doing this. And I had to take the whole thing out and redo it. And backtrack a bit because I had to cut it out. So you're just weaving in and out, trying not to get any of that stuffing, and keeping track of your extra yarn. Now if you're using plush yarn, when you get about halfway, I'd almost say try closing up one side, because that plush yarn seems to break really easily, and you are going through 12 stitches. Instead of usually you go through 6. Okay, so we are going to pull that nice and tight. Close that up. And this is a little on the tricky side, but you want to get a knot in there without it opening back up on you. Now if you have some spaces in there you want to fill up, you can just weave your end in and out. I forgot to look what a donkey tail looks like, but I feel like it's a bit like a cow tail. So if you're doing the donkey, take this end out and out his bum, and you'll just crochet him a little tail like the cow. So that's just a chain, and then I put these in. But I gotta check that. I better do that before I get to the end of this. If you're doing the horse, just come up his back. You can go up and down a few times if you want to bring these legs in a bit. So I'm going to leave that for now while I go investigate donkey tails. Okay, we're going to be making the nose now. So you're going to make your knot with the loop on the end, and we're going to be chaining into this one. So we're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we're going to be starting in the second chain from the hook, so not this one, but this one. And I like to put a little stitch marker in so I can remember where I'm at when I get on the other side, because what we're going to be doing is going down this side, around the bottom, and then up this side, and we'll always have the same amount of stitches on the top and the bottom, and then our increases will be going around the corners. Okay, so we're going to start with an increase. So 1 and 2 in that same stitch. And then we're going to do 5 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to do 3 single crochets, but as we do that, we're going to slowly turn around to the other side. So 1, all in the same stitch, turn a bit, 2, and then turn all the way around so you're on the back side of your chain, and 3. Then you're going to do your 5 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, stitch marker, and 5. And then you're going to put 1 single crochet in your last stitch. So it should look like this, and your next stitch will start right here. So in this next stitch, we're going to do 1 single crochet. And then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch. So 1 and 2 in the same stitch. And then we're going to do 5 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we are going to do an increase a single crochet and an increase. So increase 1 and 2, single crochet, and another increase, 1 and 2. Now you're going to do your 5 single crochets across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now you're going to do 1 increase in that last stitch. So 1 and 2 in the same stitch. For rounds 3 and rounds 4, you're just going to do 20 single crochets all the way around. So I'm going to go to 40 for my 2 rows and flip my marker when I hit 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Flip my marker because that's round 1 or 1 of 2. And keep on counting. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. And then you're just going to go in the next stitch, tie that off with a slip stitch. There we go. And leave enough of a tail to sew that around. Okay, now we'll do the ears. And you're going to do your knot with the loop on the end. Grab your yarn and chain 1, remembering that is just to attach your yarn and does not count as a stitch. And for round 1, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Grab a stitch marker if you need one, but this will be a little easier if you don't use one, because we're going to just be doing a tiny little piece. For round 2, we're going to do 6 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, and make sure you're stretching out all the way to the next stitch. That's your stitch right there in here, but your next stitch goes way over there. 4, 5 and 6. Row 3, you're going to do 6 increases. So that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, and increase 11 and 12. Row 4 and 5 is 12 single crochets all the way around. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to 24 and just flip my marker when I hit my first 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that was one of the 2 rows. I'm going to keep on counting. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Now we are going to fold this in half, and we're going to do 5 single crochets across, going through both the front and the back. So go in your next stitch on the side that's facing you, and the next stitch or first stitch on the side that's on the back of you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that last little spot there. Now you're going to fold that in half and you're going to put 2 single crochets in those stitches. So 1 and 2. Then just tie that off with enough of a tail to sew that on. So you're going to need 2 of these. So if you've done one, there will be a screenshot in the next frame with a timestamp to go back and restart the ear. If you've done 2, then just keep on watching. I'm going to throw in the unicorn horn, and it's only going to be 5 seconds long, so make sure you look for that, and then we will continue on to the next part. Okay, so now we're going to sew the nose on. So grab your pins and a little bit of stuffing. And we're going to stuff the nose lightly. So enough that it fills it out, but not so much that it's coming out the sides when you go to try and sew it. And I'm going to put my string on the right side. And you want to line it up just under the eyes. So your stitches will be going into this row right here. So just kind of have a look. Don't worry too much about the bottom yet. Just get your top centered on this line and kind of the same amount on each side here. Then you'll start pinning the top. And you want that whole top part to kind of go straight along under the eyes. And then find the bottom. And it doesn't matter too much where you put that. Just kind of close to the neckline somewhere. Right now I'm 1 row above the neck. And put a couple pins in there. And then now you kind of work on your going around the sides. So kind of get the shape you're going for. I think I want 1 more up there. And don't be afraid to use a lot of pins. It will keep your nose from moving around on you as you're going around. Just keep checking every once in a while that it's still where you want it. And if you don't have enough pins, you can always, once you get started, move some of these pins over to where you don't have enough. I think I'm gonna say I'm good for now. So take your darning needle. And you're gonna go down under a row and then back up. Make sure you're staying underneath the nose so you can't see your stitches. And then you're going to come up the next stitch, keeping in mind not to pull the stuffing out as you or through. Then you're going to go down the next stitch, around and up. next stitch. Now you're going to make sure you're going in that line of the row. So you're going to go down, make sure you're in that row, and then come back up. Now you can't go up now. When you go straight, you can usually get up the next stitch, which makes it a lot easier. So down the next stitch, around a bar in that row. Whoops, I lost my yarn here. And you're going to come back up the next stitch. And just keep going around like that, up and down, until you're all the way. Make sure this stitch matches this stitch. So I think I have to go one more over, then I'll go down. And just keep doing that till you get all the way around. Before you close it up, make sure you have enough stuffing in there. If you need to add a little bit more, now's the time. We're almost done here. I think I'm on my last stitch. I might just come up one more just to make sure that one's down. All right, and then you're just going to tie a knot right close or underneath if you can. And then hide that knot down and out the back of the head somewhere. Cut that. All right, so now we're just going to pin on the ears just to double check how we want them. So I'm going to put mine on the 4th row down from the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to be going around this 4th row through these 2 stitches. And just give them a little pin. Remembering that the horse's ears kind of point up and not to the side. So we're going to go around there and put a stitch just to kind of tack it so it stands up a bit. So get around on that same row. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm right centered with the center of the head. That was interesting. The clip just came off. Okay, so have a look at them. If you're happy, I think that's where they will stay. Just don't forget, you're going to have stuff coming in here when you do his mane or the horn. So I think we're okay there. So let's sew this one on. One, two, three, four. So this is the row I'm going under, right where my pin is there. So you're going to go around the row and then through the stitch on the ear that you use to close that off. And I'm going to go through twice. And then go one stitch over and do that for the other side. So you're going around the stitch and then through that single crochet you made to close that off. And one more time. And because they're floppy, you're going to put your, just tack it down. Actually, I might go under and up. So under and up, I'm going to come through the next row. And then go through the top side of the ear here somewhere. About one stitch higher than we were at when we were going through. And that's just going to help it stand up a bit instead of flop over. And then you'll tie that off. Somewhere. I don't know where I want to tie it. Close to that last stitch somewhere. And then you're going to have to mirror that for the other side. I'm going to, well, that didn't tie very tight, did it? There we go. And poke that down and out. Now we have to do that for the other ear. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to be going in that. You can just double check from the front. It looks okay. This one kind of reminds me of a hippopotamus. And then you're just going to go around. I guess this one's in the front this time. So you'll have to remember that. since it's the opposite side. So you're just going around the 4th round and through one of your single crochets on the ear. Do that twice, and then move over to the next stitch and do that again. And then when you go to do tack on this ear, go from the stitch you were using and go diagonally over to the stitch that you were in to begin with. And then that'll bring you back to the front. So you can tack that down. Actually, I guess you should come up onto the 3rd row. Go into one of them stitches just above what you were doing. And just go back around. I know this is kind of awkward-ish way to do it, but it will get you results for how we want it. And then you're just going to tie that off. And bring it out and through where you brought your other one out. Whoops, almost went around the ear there. And then give them a fairly firm tie. And thread them down and out somewhere. Don't know where it's going. Oh, out there. Alright, we're starting to get something here. Still kind of looks like a hippo though. Okay, let's give this guy some nostrils. I'm just going to grab some scrap black. And I'm going to do these ones sideways. So I'm just going to come down from the bottom over to the outside. And I'm going one row above where I chained when we made our nose here. Leave a little bit of thread and skip one stitch and go into the other stitch. And then you're just going to do the same thing in reverse. So this is where the outside of your nose will be, your skip stitch and your inside stitch. So you want to go up in there. And if you go down and around the stuffing a bit, you shouldn't see this black yarn. So there's no black line right there. And then go down that other outside stitch and out where you started. check that you're happy with how that looks. And then you're going to lightly tie. Don't pull too tight because you don't want to bring these in and make them disappear. And then once you've got them tied, you're just going to hide these ends out through the body somewhere. Maybe get in there. Going through the same hole you came out of, and then out. Also being careful not to pull that so tight that you bring your stitches in on your nose. Okay, that's looking better now. So now we're going to move on to the mane, and I've had quite a problem making the mane. So if you look now, I've actually taken his mane off and redone it so it's twisty instead of how I had it. I'm still not 100% sure on the mane. If you have a better way, please do your way. And if you want these longer when we get going, just make your chains longer and all the stitches will be exactly the same, only you'll do more of them. So this is what it used to look like. It was just little loops. And this is what it will look like once we have this one done, if we are making him a horse or a unicorn. And I will also show you, because I want this one to be a donkey, I'm going to do just little spikes, kind of like here. So he's just going to have some little yarn spikes. And if you want to try it, I had a suggestion from one of my viewers that you just use regular number 4 yarn on him as well, just like when you hook it in like this, put it on, pull it out and pull it through. And it's how we'll be doing the donkey, but if you're doing that on the horse, you want a lot longer ends. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you what the mane is going to look like. And I know it's hard to see, but what we're going to be doing is making a chain down the center. And then on one side, we're going to start making these long chains. And we're going to be doing 4 of them. And each time we're going to be coming back and slip stitching in the chain. And then when we get up to the top end, we're going to do 3 shorter ones. And then we're going to come back the other side of that chain and we're going to match it and do 4 more of these spirally chains. Now if you want this longer, chain more at the beginning. And if you want these longer, just chain, I don't know, twice as much or something. Whatever the length of your chain is, making it curl will make it about half the length of your chain. So if your chain is, say, 20 inches, your curl will end up being 10 inches. I should have said centimeters, but okay, so let's get started. Okay, we're going to make the mane, and I'm going to do mine in white. Start with leaving yourself a bit of a tail, and then make your knot with the loop on the end, and we're going to be chaining into this. and you're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's going to leave you 5 chains. So you'll have 3 pieces of main on the end, and then you're going to have 4 pieces of main coming on either side. So if you want to have more, just make more chains and you'll have more pieces of main on each side. And then we are going to go in our second chain from the hook and slip stitch. And now we're going to chain up to make our first main piece. And I'm going to chain 17. If you want your pieces longer than what mine are, then you chain as many as you want, keeping in mind the length of your chain is going to be about twice as long as your curl. So if your chain is this long, your curl is probably going to be about this long. So if you want it twice as long as mine, do twice as many chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now you're going to do 16 increases all the way down this chain. And I'm not going to say increase, I'm just going to count them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And then you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and if you're not sure, you need to have your 5th stitch as your end and 4 stitches. So you have 1 here, which means there's 3 left. So 5, 4, 3, 2. So this is your second stitch. So now you're just going to go up whatever number you picked, and then you're going to increase all the way back down, and you're going to do that 3 more times. So you have 4 along here, and this 5th stitch is empty. And I'm going to fast forward it so because you don't need to watch me do the same thing over and over and over. And then I will stop it when we get to this 5th stitch and do the 3 shorter ones. All right, you should now have your 4 curls on the one side of your chain, and you have the 1 stitch left over. If you're using the plush yarn, you might want to mark, let's just do that. You might want to mark your chain just so you can see where it is, because it does get awfully thick and you have a whole mess of stitches going on. So I'll just thread a little piece of yarn in there, and then you'll remember where your chain is, or make it easier to find. And I'm just left with my 4th one that I need to slip stitch into that 5th chain, or where I started my chains. And now you're going to do your shorter ones. So for the shorter ones, you're going to chain 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, if you want these a little longer in the front, just extend your chain. And then you're going to increase 8 times down your chain. So increase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Increases. Then you're going to slip stitch in that same stitch, and you're going to repeat that 2 times, so you have a total of 3 little ones. And I'm going to fast forward, and then I'll come back when we're on the other side. All right, so now you should have your 4 on the one side, and then your 3 shorter ones up top. Whoops, see, it's a mess and I'm not even there yet. So I'm going to put my slip stitch in that same hole, and then now we're going to go down the 4 chains that are left. So you're going to slip stitch 1, 2, 3, so right kind of in that 4th one there, and then you're going to do your 4 longer ones. Oops, if I can get that in there. There we go. So for me, it would be 17 up and then 16 increases down. And we'll do that 4 times till we get to this last stitch at the end. And I'm going to speed mine up. So I just recorded about 10 minutes of video without hitting the record button. So I left you off finishing on your fourth long piece. So you're just going to come back in here, do a slip stitch, and then tie it off. And then the easiest way to find the way it goes is to find your 3 short pieces and then slowly untwist your long pieces side by side, matching them up. And to attach them to the head, what I did was I stuck my a smaller crochet hook down in the center where that 5th stitch was, where all 3 of our shorter ones were. And then I stick it in the starting loop hole, and that just kind of will hold it down in place. Oh, my camera's just... That's probably how I ended up shutting it off, playing with that thing. Now, if you want it further back, put it further back. I'm just going to show you how to sew the piece on. Since I'm making the donkey, I don't want to sew it. So you're just going to thread your needle, and you're going to catch a stitch. So go around your stitch and then go up and through. And then staying in this middle, you're going to go down. You're going to catch a stitch of a round, and then you're going to come back up, and then you're going to keep going up and down, making sure that this piece is straight. So you want 4 on each side. And then once you get down to the bottom, so your string will be down here, you're going to go through 1 round of stitches. So go down and around, and then you're going to take that thread, tie it to the bottom thread that you tied off, and then put your needle through and hide that end. Okay, so I'll just show you how we did the tail. Whoops, he's a little top heavy without his tail. So you're just going to make your knot with the loop on the end. You can leave a little tail if you want. You might need it. And you're just going to repeat what you did for the main, but you're going to put all your slip stitches into this same loop. So you're going to do your chain of 17 or however many you want for the length of the tail. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And then you're going to do your increases all the way back down. One, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, I stopped increasing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Then you're going to slip stitch, and you're just going to keep chaining. I did 3 times. You can do however many you want. I think I'm not going to do any more because you guys know what you're doing. And then when you go to, when you have how many you want on the tail, you're just going to put, where's my needle? Each end, each tail you have, you're going to put down and out the bottom one way, and then your other one, you're going to go down over a stitch and then down out that same stitch. And then you're going to just tie a knot right here where both of your ends come out, and then hide them in his body. Actually, even one kind of looks okay. Okay, let's make this guy a donkey now. So you're going to take your tail that you saved. If you ended up not having a long enough tail or whatever, you can just follow it on what I'm doing and then attach it later. So you're just going to go under, grab a piece of that tail, and you're going to chain, let's see, let's do about 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should be good and long enough. So just tie that off. And I'm going to thread that back up. Well, maybe it could stay there. Yeah, I'm going to leave it, see what that looks like. Just don't cut right close to your knot. If it doesn't look good, you're going to want to weave that in and out and then pull it through the body. And then you're going to take your hook and you're going to go into one of the bottom stitches. Grab some scrap of black yarn, assuming you're making him the same color. You're going to pull that up and through, and then you want all these strands to go through that hole. And then pull it tight. I'm thinking leaving that gray one was a mistake. And then just give it a cut however long you want your ends. And there's your little tail. Now for his little mane, take your black, I'm just going to use my hand, but you can use whatever you want. And I'm just going to wrap around and around and around and around. If you are using your hand, try not to let it get squished down because that happens easily. And then I'm going to cut the bottom. And I'm going to cut the bottom here. And then we got our little strands. And all we're going to do, decide where about we want them. I'm going to start right here. And you're just going to pull that under and then pull your yarn ends through. I didn't do that very good. Out and under and then through. And just put them wherever you want them. Trying to stay in a line, probably 2 or 3 wide. To about here. Whatever you think looks nice. And after you're done, you can trim them and cut them whatever length you want. So I'm going to do the rest of that off camera. And I just got to think if there's anything else I forgot. Mouth, ears, tail. I think we got it. If I get into editing, excuse me, and I find out I forgot something, I will add it later. He still looks like a hippo to me. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the subscribe button and you will be notified when I make more videos. I've been asked about making a barn. I'm toying with it, but it's going to be a big project and I have to think about it. So we'll see. No promises because I got to figure out how to stiffen it and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great day and happy crocheting.